Hey, what's up everyone? Craig here for the Tropical Tribe, a group of people that have one shared goal, to grow paradise. And we're going to take a look at some of the tropical and exotic Impatiens that I grow in my plant collection. In my opinion, Impatiens are invaluable plants for any tropical or exotic styled garden. They will flower their socks off all summer long, and they will happily grow in pots, partial shade and shade. It's December here, and now mine have been brought inside for protection. They are still flowering. So let's take a look at some of the plants in my collection, and that I'd encourage you to discover and add some of them to yours. This is Impatiens balansae, or something similar. I've only got half the label, so I'll look it up, but by the time I'm editing the video, you'll see the right name here. This is a seriously sexy plant. It has the best of both worlds. It's got this sexy dark purple underside to the leaves, and then these intensely fire-coloured yellow, orange and red flowers with this speckled throat. Now, they're your typical Impatiens flower shape, which is like a tube and then kind of this curled part at the end of the flower. This is one of the slowest Impatiens to get to flower, but it's worth the wait. I had this outside all summer and it didn't flower, and it didn't even show flower buds. And I've brought it in, and like I say, we're in December now and it's starting to flower. They're opening up on both stems. It's a really, really nice plant, and I'd recommend, if you can find it, add this to your tropical style garden. It loves to grow in semi-shade or full shade. And like I say, you can grow it for the foliage or for the flowers. It's a really, really worthwhile Impatiens. And then we've got Impatiens kilimanjari, which has a much smaller leaf with these serrated edges. And this in the wild is only found in the forests, well, you've guessed it, near Mount Kilimanjaro. It has these tiny flowers and it's just produced masses of them. And these have got a much more prominent swirl at the bottom of the flower. And I love the red and yellow flower with the centre, which is almost a purpley blue. It's almost iridescent. I've loved this plant. Mine lost a lot of its leaves, but I repotted it and it's looking much happier. And it was flowering and flowering and flowering. This one's slowed down a bit now that the colder weather is coming in. But I think this might be one of my favourite plants in the greenhouse, and I'm hoping I can propagate this because I'd like to dot it around lots of spots in my garden this year. Again, this one is Impatiens kilimanjaro, and it's just a fantastic plant with these tiny but really tropical looking colourful flowers. I've also got Impatiens flanaganii, which is a name I really enjoy saying. Flanaganii. Mine isn't flowering, and it's been growing slowly from a cutting that was given to me by a friend. I've taken some pictures of his, which is in full flower. It has these beautiful bright pink flowers that are really, really eye-catching, and I'm hoping that I can grow this big enough to get plenty of flowers and plenty of cuttings next year. As you can see, it's an Impatiens with much bigger leaves, and it has that typical serrated edge to the Impatiens leaf. Now, one of the more common Impatiens is Impatiens Congo cockatoo. And this is the variegated form, which I think is amazing because, like I say, these plants absolutely love to grow in semi-shade or full shade. So when you can get a leaf variegation like this, it's going to really brighten up that spot in any tropical garden scheme. This one suffered a bit in the summer because our new little puppy, which is now less of a puppy and more of a dog, but still equally as destructive, stomped right over this and squashed it. So it's on the lean, but I've had it out of the ground and repotted, and it's perking up now. And hopefully next summer, same as the rest of the plants here, I can get it nice and big and grow lots of cuttings. But this variegation combined with that iconic really red and yellow flower, which I'll bring some pictures up, it's just a really nice combination. So this is Impatiens niamniamensis. I've also got the standard green form. Now this was a puppy victim, and I chopped it into lots of cuttings, most of which I've sold, and I kept the worst one for myself. So I'm going to grow this on. I've got some more cuttings rooting indoors, and they root really easily in water. So if you're into propagating plants, propagating Impatiens by cuttings in water is super easy. So I'd really encourage you to have a go. It's sort of addictive. And then of course, I'm sure this one's been catching your eye as I've been moving around in the greenhouse. This is Impatiens morsei, red velvet, or velvet love. It has loads of cultivar names. But this again is an amazing Impatiens for leaf colour. I mean, look at the colour of that bright pink midrib down this leaf. And it's got the same serrated edge as the rest of the Impatiens, but it's also got that sexy purple underside. I would grow this just as a foliage plant, but it does flower and it has those typical Impatiens flowers. This one has only got flower buds on it at the moment, but I took pictures when it was in flower, so I'll share those with you. I mean, just look at that pink. It almost looks artificial. Now this is a great plant as a foliage plant, and I'd recommend growing it for that, because the foliage lasts year round. I have only grown this as a house plant, and I've moved it out into the greenhouse because it wasn't looking that happy. I've taken cuttings, and it's extremely slow to root, and it's also slow to grow compared to the other Impatiens. So that's why I was nervous to put it outside in the summer. But next summer I'm going to be brave and I'm going to do it. But obviously I will try and take cuttings beforehand so that I've got backup plants. But I think if it's the same as the rest of the Impatiens here, it's going to be happy outdoors. I just need to keep the dog away from it. Again, Impatiens morsei. This is a great plant and a great house plant if you can get the light conditions right. This Impatiens is one I did have growing outside all summer long, and it flowered its socks off. In fact, it was flowering all the way through to December until this week, when we had our first couple of frosts. And because I'd taken a lot of cuttings, I wasn't worried about leaving it outside, so I experimented, and I can confirm it died. But this is an amazing Impatiens. It has these, they're quite faint orange at this time of year. During the summer, and I'll bring up pictures, they are intensely dark orange, and the plant is covered in them. And the way it produces the flowers on this stem and holds them out is great, because a lot of Impatiens you have to look underneath the leaves to see the flowers, but on this one it holds them out proud. And it grows like mad. From one cutting, which you can see this is, it branches out itself, it grows into a really nice form, and the pollinating insects love this one. Now this is called Impatiens auricoma cross bicaudata, and it's a hybrid between a Madagascan Impatiens and one from an island nearby Madagascar. And I first saw this growing in Mike Clifford's garden, and it was amazing, and I've been growing it ever since. And again, this takes from cuttings really, really easily. Like, it roots insanely fast. It's a fantastic plant, and I'm looking forward to letting it out and letting it grow and flower its socks off next year as well. So I loved growing these plants so much this year that I took so many cuttings, and it's too many for my own garden. So I've added these to the web shop, and I'll be selling them and listing them as they get big enough and as they're ready. But here's some young ones with that dark coloured underside to the leaf, and it's sending out lots of shoots, so it's going to be multi-branched. I'm tempted to keep them myself, but I might put them up on the website soon, so just keep your eye out for Impatiens cuttings on the website. I've got loads of the orange flowering one. And I think that's one of my favourites for flower power. It just flowers and flowers and flowers. Well, there you go. That's my Impatiens collection, and I'm going to add as many more as I can to the collection because, like all of you, I'm sure we're plant addicts. But remember, growing paradise isn't just about buying plants relentlessly. It's about propagating, sharing, and finding stuff that's going to benefit the environment around you. And Impatiens are loved by a lot of pollinating insects. So you're going to be doing your bit for the environment by growing plants like this. Grow paradise. That's the key. Alright, thank you so much for watching. Just be sure to go and check out the website, hit subscribe if you like this video, and I will see you all in the next video. Ciao.